Devastating situation for him. Now we watch the 5 lights come on. Who's going to get the best start? Is it going to be Faulkner? Is it going to be Blake-Molen on the right hand side? And look, as we see one of the Conrad Motorsport cars pop out. That's Jan Seyfarth. I think you've got an absolutely storming start. Blake-Molen moving across to the inside to try and challenge Faulkner. Then he goes to the outside, squeezing down on Damien Faulkner. The pair of them run a little bit wide and actually hands a little bit of the initiative to Seyfarth, who gets a bit of a run at Blake-Molen rather. Couple of cars running wide. This is what we thought may well happen because of the nature of the circuit here. People can take risks. They can afford to do that more than they might be able to at other circuits, but it does look like it's Faulkner from Blake-Molen, Seyfarth, Danny Watts, the British driver making his debut in the Porsche Carrera Cup as teammate in the Lechner Racing Team 2, Damien Faulkner. A couple of other drivers running wide in the mid-pack there. But it looks like Faulkner's got his head down. He's trying to get himself into a groove just to break away from Blake-Molen. Raced against each other last season. Down the inside there, almost Nicolau Mindo in the red and yellow car, having a look to see if he could maybe make a place up. There's lots of corners here in Sakhir where you can brake very, very heavily. Well, you do have to brake very, very heavily there. So with your Alson under pressure there from David Sullens in the Red Line Racing Irwin car. And Alson, as we said earlier, had a look at the 2 cars in the background there. I think that's Sean Edwards, another British driver who's making his debut in the Carrera Porsche Super Cup, having raced in GTs and been very successful in that in the past. But it's his teammate Seyfarth who looks like he's got a pretty strong car underneath him already. Conrad Motorsport have been very successful not only in the Porsche Super Cup. Student from Germany. Has been racing in the Porsche Carrera Cup in Germany in the past, so knows these cars pretty well. Before that, raced in Formula BMW in the background. It looks like Alson is under a little bit of pressure from Daryl O'Young. As you can see, Blake-Molen in turn under pressure from Seyfarth. Danny Watts is having a little look at Seyfarth as well. Has he stuck his nose to the inside? No, he hasn't. He ducks out of that one quite sensibly. Behind that, Mamaro is having a little look and thinking about having a go at Danny Watts, but clearly at this stage of the race they're thinking a little bit about making sure they don't do anything silly, making sure they don't take any risks that could potentially cost them points. Long championship, 12 races in total. This is the only weekend where they have 2. Of course, as we said, twice champion. Look at that, cars about 5 abreast there at one point as they turn into turn 2, and that I think is Sebastian Blake-Molen, certainly one of the Blake-Molen Race Planet cars. Could be Tim Boyce. Not quite sure which one it was from there. And on the right hand side, that was Sean Edwards in the other of the Conrad Motorsport cars. But now it looks like Danny Watts, when Damien was racing for Team Parker Racing in the background. Edwards gets very, very wide. Team Parker Racing, and Mamaro sticks himself down the inside of Watts, but not really got enough of a gap there. Armindo's a little bit too far back to join in at this stage, but certainly Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup last year, and it looks like he maybe is good. Yes, he has got it done on Mindo, and behind them Rosina, who has been quick in free practice but didn't quite string it together in qualifying. Qualifying down in 10th position. He knows how to scrap hard. Alson gets a much better run though out of turn 3 there, and it looks like he's done it. Got around the outside. A very clever bit of driving, using all of the experience there. Of course, the former champion in the Porsche Super Cup, but also in the German Carrera, and a bit wide whilst you deal with that oversteering situation. But Blake-Molen really has got to think very, very carefully about how he's going to position his car now. And Seyfarth really their wing, very, very experienced. Franz Conrad making sure that Seyfarth has the best equipment underneath him as they turn into the final corner, as Damien Faulkner takes a very straightforward victory after the poleman didn't make the start, René Rast, but it is going to be, I think, just about. Blake-Molen is going to hang on to second from Jan Seyfarth, from Chris Mamaro. And in the background, this massive gaggle of cars comes across the line. Sullens, Watson, who's going to be in, I think, what's going to be about 6th position. I think it's just going to be Heisman from Alson, from Janak, as they cross the line. Well, we'll have to wait for the official classification because that camera angle doesn't really tell the full story. But the man most likely to, Damien Faulkner, runner-up in the series last year, through very, very well. Alson, Janak, Van Lagens, Pedri and Sebastian Blake-Molen round out the top 12. And an outstanding drive from Damien Faulkner. He takes the first round of the championship and will go into tomorrow's race feeling extremely confident. Damien Faulkner, the Irishman, takes the victory in race 1 of 2008. A chance to have another crack. Join us after the break. Here in Sakhir in Bahrain, Franz Conrad, team owner from Conrad Motorsport, talking to his young driver there. He had a family home just around the corner from there, and he's got a hell of a lot of trophies now racking up, and this young man, I'm sure, is going to be there or thereabouts throughout the season. Great performance by Jan Seyfarth in the Conrad Motorsport team. And now the bit that makes it all worthwhile is the champagne. There's nothing better for a race driver than when he goes and gets changed after the race to notice that these overalls are all soaked in